fuck.
Why is my world so blue? My brain has lost its grooves. My love is bringing me down.
This is Alex Wise, and this is part 4 on my track-by-track video series that I'm releasing leading up to the release of my upcoming debut EP, Out of My Mind. Part 4, track 4, Side by Side. Side by Side is probably the most out there song that we wrote out of the batch of songs that we ended up working on for this project. It's the one where we took the most liberties, where we took the most risk, I believe. I mean, overall, it's a very poppy song. I would see people thinking that it's a safe song, when in reality, as far as the way I would perceived it, is more of a risk. Just for the fact that I was coming more out of a garage, indie, rock and roll type of sound, and then working in a very polished, poppy tune. I mean, even Caleb mentioned while we're working on the song that it reminded him of a Enrique Iglesias tune. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really see the connection, but who knows? Maybe you guys see it. Anyway, Side by Side was the 4th song that we ended up writing within the batch. So we already had 3 songs done, and we were fairly deep into the project. And again, just to put into perspective, every single song that we wrote was made from scratch within 2 days. Like, it was written and recorded in a 2-day time frame, each and every song. But coming into the studio, there are no lyrics, sometimes no concepts, just coming in cold turkey, figuring things out vibe-wise, start tracking, and then write lyrics. That's kind of how the workflow was going on. So I'm not gonna lie, I would say Side by Side was probably the hardest song to write and finish. It was the one that I had the most trouble not only writing, I had the most trouble even tracking it as well. Coming into the studio, I was very demoralized just for the fact that I was super knee-deep into my issues with my father's deportation, not having him at home, economically being just super tight, my family and I. And at the same time working very diligently and very focused into what was going on with the music, as well as trying to keep my father's business afloat. There was just so much going on. So I was everywhere, especially during this session. I remember vividly that one thing that I had in my mind when coming into the session was this anger in the situation that I was living in. And that anger was more or less sparked when the night before I saw a Trump rally that was going on at the time. It's that infamous Trump rally where Trump incites and encourages his base and all his followers to start chanting send her back, send her back, send her back, in reference to US Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. At the time, Ilhan Omar was under some controversy just for the fact that she spoke her mind on issues about Israel. It's a very deep political thing. Nonetheless, the actions and rhetoric that were being spewed during the Trump rally are not okay whatsoever. Because Ilhan Omar is black and she's a naturalized US citizen coming from Africa, she has an accent and she dresses very much in tune of what her cultural roots are. Because of this, Trump starts inciting this racist rhetoric towards the US Congresswoman.
Ilhan Omar.
Acting as if she doesn't belong in the US, she's supposed to be going back to wherever she came from, and that's just not okay. That not only hurt me, it really infuriated me to the core of my being, just because it really resonated with me. A lot of people in this country, especially Trump supporters, see people of color, see people like my family, see them as a pest, as a parasite. They just believe that my family, and maybe even I, don't belong in this country. And that infuriated me. It just really made me feel for a second that a big portion of this country hates me and my family and simply don't want us here. So coming in, I already had some poems that I wrote the night before based off of those emotions, and I'm not gonna lie, they were very dark, very angry, and yeah, just very scatterbrained at the same time. The emotions were very, very strong. So that particular mindset is not the most focused mindset to have, especially when writing and recording in a very fast pace. Man, I just felt like I had so much to talk about. Like I was feeling so much, but it wasn't coming out on pen and paper very well. It wasn't coming out through my ideas, my musical ideas very well. So on this one, I really leaned on Caleb and Grant a little bit more. They started putting some ideas down on the track, creating some grooves and some vibes, but things were just not resonating. We ended up kind of jamming out, see what was going on, and we ended up finding this chord progression that we really liked. So when we found this key and chord progression, they grabbed that and basically applied that to the groove and feel that they were already working with at the beginning of the day. That's when this kind of glossy, sparkly kind of feeling of the song started kind of appearing. As far as the lyrics, all I could say at the time was just how I was feeling, very down, very low, describing those feelings, and also mentioning how I had a hard and frustrating time putting my words into this song. Ultimately in the song, I'm just asking and wishing for people to be more empathetic with one another. Wishing for a tomorrow where we look out for each other, where we're more understanding, more open to different views, and just be better overall as a society. Because all that hate and all that anger that I was having, and all that hate and all that anger that the people in the Trump rally were having, it just doesn't lead us anywhere good. So that side by side is just more or less a wish, and hopefully a tomorrow that we can work on towards creating together. And yeah, I believe that's it. As far as references, we were mainly listening to a lot of like 90s pop, some alternative as well, like Beck was mentioned here and there. Yeah man, Side by Side was really tough to write, but I'm really happy with how, I guess, honest it is. Again, it's just me complaining that I'm having a hard time writing this song and just wishing that there's a better tomorrow. That's pretty much all there is on this one. I also did mention I had a hard time tracking this song. Like, Caleb was beating my ass in the studio. Not physically, just making me take takes upon takes, redoing them over and over again until they were right. We worked so hard on trying to get the right takes, just for the fact that, again, it was just one of those sessions that I was just not completely on. And it was a little bit frustrating, but we worked really, really hard into getting the right takes and to trying to stay as focused as possible. And so I'm just really proud how it came out. Like, it was a struggle, it was a grind, and I think the performance came out great. I think the honesty came out through fairly well. And yeah, I think it's a very hopeful tune. Hopefully that message resonates with you all. Anyways, thank you so much for coming by. This was part 4, track 4 from my upcoming debut EP, Out of My Mind, which releases midnight tonight, Thursday, August 27th. That's in a few hours. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great time. Thank you for coming by, and see you guys later.